The Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, is one of the oldest Black congregations in the American South. On June 17th, 2015, people gathered there to learn some Torah. They were in person for Bible study, and they did the mitzvah of welcoming a stranger. They didn't know that stranger was a white supremacist. This person opened fire during their closing prayer, and he killed 9 people who were in church studying the Bible. This was a hate crime. This was a hate crime. According to the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, a hate crime is a criminal act against a person or property in which the perpetrator chooses the victim because of the victim's real or perceived race, religion, national origin, ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability, or gender. Hate is rampant, too prevalent in our world. This morning, I'm going to ask a few questions that one might not expect to hear from me. The first is there anybody or are there people that hate you? And is there anybody in the world that you hate? And if there is, how did that happen? How do we come to hate or to dislike deeply people? And I've been thinking about this because of one pasuk, one verse that is embedded in our parsha, in a parsha that lists more than 50 different mitzvot. It comes from chapter 23, verse 5. Ki tir'eh chamor sonacha rovetz tachat masa'o v'chadalta me'azov lo, azov ta'azov imo. If you see the donkey of your enemy crouching under its burden, you shall assist him. You must help the owner to lighten the donkey's burden. Now, I'm less interested in the need to help out with the donkey than I am with the fact that in the book of Exodus, in a Torah portion that unveils a blueprint to create a civil society, there is still an assumption that people have enemies. And I'm troubled by this verse because of another verse in the Torah, which might be a little bit more familiar to some of you, which is, Lo tisna et achicha bilvavecha. You shall not hate your brothers or your friends in your heart. It seems to me that that verse forbids us from hating other people. But yet, even with a quick scan of a few thousand years of text, we find a whole bunch of moments where our people engaged in hate, and the word hate is used. Back in Genesis, when Joseph's brothers saw that Jacob loved the dreamer brother more than all of the other brothers, we read in the Torah, Vayisneu oto, velo yochlu dabro l'shalom, that the brothers hated him and they couldn't speak peacefully to him anymore. It's that same shoresh, that same root of the sin, the nun, and the aleph. It's repeated over and over again. Chamor son echa, the donkey of your enemy. Lo tisna et achicha, do not hate your brother. And then we just saw it again. Vayisneu oto, they hated him. Hatred existed in the biblical era, but not just then. In the Talmud, in a tractate called Yoma, we read, Mikdash Shani, shehayu oskin b'Torah u'b'mitzvot u'gmilut chasadim, Mipnei ma charav? Mipnei shehayta bo sinat chinam. During the Second Temple period, people were engaged in Torah study. They were engaged in the observance of mitzvot and in acts of chesed, of kindness. So why was the Second Temple destroyed? Mipnei shehayta bo sinat chinam. It was destroyed due to the fact that there was sinat chinam, hatred, during that period. Sinat chinam has the same shoresh, the same Hebrew root. And that text continues, Sheshkula sinat chinam keneged shlosha averot. That the sin of wanton hatred is equivalent to the three worst transgressions of all, of idol worship, forbidden sexual relations, and bloodshed. So during the time of the Second Temple, hatred clearly existed, but the rabbis scorned it. And they saw when you hate another person as being the horrible of the most horrible, and yet people were still hating on another. Not much has changed, huh? Let's go back to the verse from this week's Parsha. Ki tir'eh hamor son'acha rovet tachad masa'ov v'chadalta me'azov lo azov ta'azov imo. When you see the donkey of your enemy, a person who you have a hating relationship with, you need to help out. Now you might ask, what are the benefits of helping our enemy, someone we hate or someone who hates us? The commentary that I found the most compelling on this verse came from the Targum Onkelos, an Aramaic translation of the Torah that was written in the earliest days of the 2nd century. This is how Onkelos understands this verse. When you see the donkey of your enemy lying under its burden, you must let go of what is in your heart against him. You must let go of what is in your heart against him, and you must nevertheless raise it with him. For Onkelos, we need to actually break through these negative feelings towards those that we hate. That's a whole lot deeper than just overcoming the evil inclination of not wanting to help out. Onkelos directs us to create a lasting change within ourselves. As we've said already today and last night, and from the melodies that you heard in Hallel, it is Rosh Chodesh Adar today. And about this day, the rabbi said, Misha nichnas Adar marbim besimcha. When the month of Adar enters, we increase in joy. One of the ways that we can increase our joy is by letting go of something that is bringing us down. We all know it takes more effort to be angry at someone than it does to hate someone, than it is to love someone. And it takes more muscle work to frown and then to smile. Try it. Try smiling. Now frown. Right? It takes a lot more muscle work to frown. And there is so much that can bring us down already. So why don't we let go of something in these next 2 weeks that lead up to Purim? And so here is your challenge. In these next 2 weeks, can you follow Onkelos and let it go? Let go of the anger or maybe even the hatred that you have towards another human being. Focus on the present and the future with that person instead. Just stop looking back. As Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, reminded us, your enemy is also a human being. Hostility may divide us, but there is something deeper that connects us, the covenant of human solidarity. I wish to live in a decent society, don't you? Move past what angers you and remember that that other person is also made in the image of God, just like you. Lo tisna et achicha bilvavecha. Do not hate the other in your heart. Do not hate another person. Bakesh shalom v'rodfehu. Seek peace and pursue it. Back in 2015, when Dylan Roof, Yamach Shemo, was sentenced to death on 33 counts of federal hate crimes, Bethany Middleton Brown, the sister of the slain Reverend DePayne Middleton Doctor, said this to the murderer: I wanted to hate you, but my faith tells me no. I wanted to remain angry and bitter, but my view of life won't let me. Do any of us have the strength to do that? Shabbat Shalom and Chodesh Tov.